So in this video we're going to cover the first part of the Theme 2 exam. So this is the only exam that the exam board has actually been kind enough to set out so far. So it's kind of the only one that we have to go on, but I'm going to go through all the questions and explain how to answer them. So if we start with section A, you're going to get a mixture of multiple choice and small written questions, just like in the Theme 1 exam. The first question here shows us a table about real GDP. So that means GDP with inflation having been taken into account. And the question is asking us, what is economic growth? For 1 mark, you would say economic growth is an increase in GDP within the economy, or an increase in the amount of goods and services produced within the economy within a year. Either of those two would get you the mark. Second question is a bit of a numerical work here. Calculate the annual UK growth rate for 2013. So how much has it grown by in 2013? So we compare last year's to 2013's. So they're basically asking you, how much has it gone up by? If we're going to calculate growth, we should do it as a percentage. That's how you work out GDP normally. So it's as a percentage. Therefore, we would use the equation new minus old over old times 100. So new is 1534 billion minus old 1506 billion, and then over 1506 billion. And I believe the answer should work out at around 2%. They will give you the mark for 2% or 1.8 or 1.9 as well. Now, which one of the following can be inferred from the table? So have a look here. Well, we know the answer can't be C because it's talking about nominal, whereas the table is showing us real GDP. So let's have a look. What is going on? Well, in the table, I can see that GDP has fallen between 2012 and 2013. Therefore, this is the correct answer. Real GDP was falling between 2012 and 2013. Right, moving on to question 2. In 2011, the Bank of England estimated that the marginal propensity to consume was an average of 0.4. Define the term marginal propensity to consume. Okay, so marginal propensity to consume, essentially, in a basic idea, is if consumers are given more money, what are they going to do with that money? Are they going to spend it or are they going to save it? So if you got a pay increase, are you likely to spend your money or save it? The higher the marginal propensity to consume, the more of your income you are likely to spend, and the less you are likely to save. So, in terms of a 1 mark definition for marginal propensity to consume, you would say this is the amount of extra income or increased income that consumers will spend if given a pay rise. That would get you the marks. Calculate the value of the multiplier for the UK in 2011. You're advised to show you're working. Now, the multiplier has its own special equation that you basically need to know. And if you check in the mark scheme, right here, they will accept one of 2 different answers. There are 2 ways to work out the multiplier. The easiest one that I would use is this one. It's 1 over 1 minus MPC, because we know what the MPC is. They've given you in the text, if we just go back to that particular question. So 1 over 1 minus MPC. Well, we know that the MPC is 0.4, so the equation is 1 over 1 minus 0.4. So it's 1 over 0.6. That's the multiplier effect. Question C, which one of the following is likely to cause an increase in the value of a multiplier? So, think of the multiplier like this. If I put money into the economy, how much more is going to flow around? So in order to increase the multiplier, we want everyone who's given money to spend that money. If consumers who are given money decide to save it, or they lose it in some way, and don't spend it, that will reduce the level of the multiplier. So what we're trying to do is, with this question, we're trying to look for things that are going to help people to spend more money. Right, an increase in the marginal propensity to save. Marginal propensity basically means the likelihood. So marginal propensity to save means how likely you are to save your money and not spend it. Well, if there's an increase in that, then it means consumers are more likely to save money if we give it to them. That's not going to increase the multiplier, that will reduce it. B, an increase in the basic rate of tax. Well, if I have to pay more tax on the money that I receive, I'm not going to spend as much of it. So again, the multiplier goes down. A decrease in the marginal propensity to import. Right, if we import less, then that means the money that we have is not going out of our economy as much. Importing, if you remember, is not good for the economy because it means money flows away from it. Therefore, if the amount of imports goes down, this will help more money to stay inside the economy and therefore will increase the multiplier. So the answer here is C. Moving on to question 3, they're giving us a change in CPI. Now remember, CPI is used to show us inflation. So the higher CPI is, the higher inflation is. And they want you to define the term inflation. So you would say inflation is an increase in the value of goods and services within the UK. Or is an increase in the average cost of goods within the UK, within an economy. Which one of the following can be inferred from the chart? There was deflation. So we're looking at these different things here. Now, just focusing on that word quickly, deflation. Deflation doesn't mean inflation's going down. Deflation means that in fact things are getting cheaper. So it's not that inflation is slowing down, it's not that inflation went from 3% to 2%. Deflation would be if it was minus 2%, things actually got cheaper. So I can tell from looking at this graph, nowhere on the graph is there deflation because it's never below 0. Therefore, it can't be deflation. So we know the answer is definitely not A. If we look at the other ones, if we have a look at the other ones, we can see the answer must be B, that inflation was higher in 2012.